boasted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel. Beside all this, today is the third day since these things were done. So it's 3 days. Yahawashi rose on the third day. Mary Magdalene saw Yahawashi on the third day, the same day that the apostles came and saw him as well. Okay?
Shalom, I want to first start off giving all praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to all you brothers across the four corners of the earth that's pushing this truth and faith and sincerity, who potentially are of the elect. Okay, the guy that's on this video that I just played, the point that I wanted to address in this video was a guy that used to be in this camp, and he basically now is scoffing against the truth. He's collaborating with the Avengers, and he's supposed to be a scriptural guy. You know, he's supposed to be deep in the scriptures, but this guy is really lightweight, man. And I'm gonna show you that he doesn't understand what he's reading, because he's trying to come against the lesson that the Apostle Gabor put up. It's going back maybe over 2 years ago, and the name of the lesson was the chronology of the Lord's Passover to the resurrection. That's the name of the lesson that the Apostle Gabor did, and it was beautiful. It was on point. I recommend brothers go back and watch it, because I went back and watched it, and it was just a beautiful lesson. But I went back and watched it based upon seeing this, and this nigga don't know what the hell he's talking about, man. Now, reading that scripture, the Luke 24 and 21, I'm gonna show you that what Cleopas would have, how it actually should read, is that it's been beyond 3 days already. I mean, 3 days have already passed since Yahawashi was crucified. Not that it was actually the third day that he was speaking to Yahawashi, because this would have had to been the Passover comes in on the eve of the 14th, and so that's the 15th day. That's the actual 15th day. So they ate the unleavened bread at eve, would start the 15th day, the same day that Yahawashi was crucified, which was a Sabbath. And then the following day would have been the 16th to the 17th, the 17th to the 18th, the 18th to the 19th, and then after that day, or the eve of the 19th, Yahawashi rose. So when Yahawashi rose on after the third day, this is not the account right here. When Mary Magdalene and the other Mary come to the sepulchre, and didn't find Yahawashi there. It tell you about the angel that the Yahweh sent down to remove to remove the seal from the tomb, and they say it was like an earthquake, like the ground shook. So that account right there, that was not on the third day, and the Apostle Gabor went into that beautifully. And I'm gonna just I'm gonna make a few points, and I'm gonna go to a couple of scriptures, and I'm gonna show you it's really easy to debunk what the hell he's talking about, the guy that put this video up. So without further ado, get the scriptures. So like I said, I'm gonna say this before I bring out these scriptures. Oh, what did I do? That the scripture you read in Luke 24 and 21, I believe that was. Let me get it. Let me just read that again. Okay, Luke chapter 24, verse 21. But we trusted, this is Cleopas speaking to Yahawashi. They didn't know that it was Yahawashi. But we trusted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel. And besides all this, today is the third day since these things were done. So, like I said, what that's saying is 3 days have already passed. And at that point, 3 days had actually long passed. It had already been a week. It had already been a week at this point in time right now. And I'm going to prove that. So that's what Cleopas was saying, that 3 days had already passed, you know. And it goes on into the reading. Let's just read a little more. It says, yeah, and certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre. In the 24th verse, starting at verse 1, I'm sorry, the 24th chapter, starting at verse 1 of Luke, it tells you about that, how Mary Magdalene and the other Mary come to the sepulchre very early on the first day of the week. They came on the first day of the week, you know. Keep that in mind. It says, and when they found not his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of a vision of angels, which said that he was alive. And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre and found it even so as the woman had said, but him they saw not. So they didn't see Yahawashi when they went to the sepulchre. This was on the seventh day. This would have been on a week later. This would have been a week later right here. And I'm gonna prove it, and it's very simple. So let's get Matthew 26, and I'm gonna start at the 27th verse. I'm sorry, in the 17th verse. Matthew 26 and 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahawashi, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? So right here, this will be the 14th day before the eve of the 14th day. And to prove that, you prepare the Passover, and then you eat the Passover feast, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, on the eve of the 14th, which would make that the 15th day. You know, so all you gotta do is jump down to verse 20, and it explains that. Now, when the eve was come, he sat down with the 12. So, what you read here in Matthew 26 and 17, that was the 14th day. The eve had not come yet. And then in the 21st verse right here, this was the actual eve, as it reads, of the 14th day of the Passover. I'm sorry, the 14th day at eve, which starts the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And that would have been the 15th day. Now, this is the same day. If you go through the timeline, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. The Apostle Gabar have done it already, so there's no need for me to go back and do it. But if you follow the timeline, just reading the scriptures, Yahawashi died on the Passover. He was crucified on the Passover, which is a Sabbath. So, now that we know that Yahawashi died on the Sabbath, and then it tells you he was crucified on the Sabbath, which was the day of the Passover, and then the following day, well, let me just read this. This is Matthew 28 and 1, and I'm gonna read all the way to the 6th verse. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. So right now we know this is not talking about the 16th day, and it can't be. Now, what this was talking about the first day of the week after the Sabbath, but it could not have been the same Sabbath of the Passover where the Lord Yahawashi was crucified, because you had to give him 3 days. You had to give him 3 days to rise, and after the third day he rose. So if this account right here, you have to know that this is not talking about the third day, because they came on the first day of the week, as we read in Luke the 24th chapter. It says the same thing, worded a little different. So I'm gonna read on. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the woman, or unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Yahawashi, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. As he said, come, see the place where the Lord lay. And when they went to see, Yahawashi was not there. He had risen. So we know that had to be 7 days. It had to be a week later, because the Passover is a week, and it couldn't have been the first day of the week of the Passover, or the first day of the week after the Sabbath and the Passover, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, where Yahawashi was, or when Yahawashi was crucified, because that would only given him being buried one day, not even one whole day, So when you read Matthew the 28, starting at 1 all the way through 6, and then you can read it in Luke, and I believe that the counsel is also in Mark too. I'm not sure if it's in Mark, but basically common sense. I mean, you read this, you know that, okay, well, when they came, it would have had to been past 3 days, because the Lord would have been the only way for Yahawashi to rise, it would have to been after the third day, and they came on the first day of the week. So there's no way they could have came on the first day of the week of Yahawashi's, or after Yahawashi's crucifixion, because that would have been the day before. That would only given them 1 day, or giving Yahawashi 1 day in the ground, and not even one whole day. So it just shows you right there that the first day of the week that Mary Magdalene and the other Mary come to the sepulchre, that would have had to been after 3 days. And if you can't get that just by reading these scriptures and understanding when Yahawashi was crucified, then your screws are unloose up there at the top, man. You ain't working with a full deck in your mind. So, man, with that, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to all you brothers out there that are doing the work in truth and sincerity, who potentially are of the elect. Shalom.